Hey, what's up, everybody? Again, we here. One of the things I want to talk about is the fact that everybody is really going crazy with this Colin Kaepernick thing, and I talked about it briefly on the last one. But one of the things I wanted to touch on was the fact that all of these people that are up in arms with the singing of the anthem and being a patriot and all this other type of stuff. You gotta understand that none of that stuff that they're talking about is actually real. And if we really get into the Star Spangled Banner and really get into who Francis Scott Key and these people were, what I'm starting to see is that these people that refer to themselves as Caucasians or white or whatever they want to be, they want you to be in a situation where they literally beat you to death, and then right when you're about to die, they want you to hand them the whip to take you further. Like, there's no way that you can put it like this: when the high tide comes, all boats raise at the same time. So when we're dealing with karma, which is the negative aspect of dharma, we're dealing with what is going to come back to somebody after a certain amount of time. So, for instance, this is the actual verse that they took out of the Star Spangled Banner, so that way they could get black people to sing it. And it goes, "And where is that band who so vauntingly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home and a country, should leave us no more? Their blood was washed out of their foul footsteps' pollution. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. And a star-spangled banner in triumph doth wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave." So what this says is it says, "And where is that band who so vauntingly swore?" That's talking about the Moors that existed prior to 1791 here. Then when it says that the havoc of a war and a battle's confusion, the havoc of the war and the battle's confusion was the American Revolution, and the fact that the American Revolutionary War started in 1511 in Baton Rouge. It didn't happen in 1776. That was late. And so that confusion is what led to a home and a country should leave us no more, meaning in this home we're going to switch it into a country where there will be no mores, right? Their blood was washed out, their foul footsteps pollution, meaning that there was a thing that happened where our imprint, our landmark, our contribution to this country would be washed away and wiped away, right? Then it goes to no refuge could save the hireling and slave, meaning that nowhere that we would go as Moors would we be allowed to be free in our own country again, because they would follow us to the ends of the earth and make it so that way we would always be on the run just by living our culture. Then it says, "From the terror of flight and the gloom of the grave." This is Hiram now. This is an allusion to the whole Hiram Abiff thing about us being buried in the dismal crypt in the shallow grave with the acacia leaf on our grave. "In that now the land of the free and the home of the brave," meaning the land of the free Moors and the so-called braves, which brave also means prince. So a lot of so-called autochthonous Moors will refer to they princes and young heirs as braves. So this again is a perfect example as to why people are being willfully ignorant and wantonly abusive when it comes to accepting the fact that nobody on this planet has been through more rape, torture, murder, consistent denationalization, cannibalism than the original man and the original woman. I'm sorry, it's not about who's first in. It's not about first in time. It's not about first in line. It's about first in time. in order for the people, for us not to be the chosen people, and for us not to be able to be the ones that's supposed to inherit everything, because they say the meek shall inherit the earth, in order for us not to be that, they have now had to create different categories and classes of other people, so that way we can rate their abuse as akin to ours. So what this says is that nobody is going to actually stand up for the reparation, or excuse me, for the revalidation of us, except ourselves. But now what's happened is that we're in a situation where we're besieged by all other races, including our own. You understand? You have, just when they talk about police killing black people, I don't just look at it as Caucasian people doing that. You have a lot of black people that's killing police officers. You got to understand, anybody that's joining up with an organization like that at this point for a job, something is mentally wrong. Because that would be like me saying, okay, I need money, so I'm going to join this pirate company. And even though they rape and kill and torture people, I just got to do my job to pay my bills. So in that, I'm absolved somehow of any responsibility of the murder and the theft of people. So what this does is this shows me why something like this happened. I found out also that the U.S. just gave Israel $38 billion for the next 10 years. So that means for the next 10 years, Israel is going to receive over $10 billion to murder and maim and kill more Palestinians, right? But guess what? That's not just Israel's problem. That's any government that's supporting them. We are at a situation now where what's also happening, you know, I keep my notes so that way my short-term memory will be bugging. They're going now into what they call the 3 big T's. This is the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the Transatlantic Trade Partnership, and the Transatlantic Investment Partnership, as well as the and the Tirade Services Agreement. These agreements are going to basically put the United States in a position by which it will act as a mercenary corporation that will go into different regions and countries and basically kill people wholesale. It also is going to create how is it doing that? Because the Trans-Pacific trade agreements are all based upon something that came in the 80s, the late 90s under Clinton, called the NAFTA and the GATT. That opened up free trade agreements where anybody who had the ability to open or receive contracts, let's say in mining, they could go somewhere, and if the person or the country refuses to accept the contract, they can put a financial embargo on them under what they refer to as a ISD, which are these international conglomerate consortiums of pseudo businessmen who actually get together and create what they call arbitration agreements that basically bankrupt countries. And this has been happening for so long now that other agreements had to be created, such as the BRICS Union and these type of things. So in order for the United States to actually be able to see and be a viable trading partner in the future, what they have to now do is loan themselves out as hired guns. That's basically what's happening. And so now the United States military and things like that, all of that is going to be privatized. So in a privatized military situation, what you have to understand is that the United States then is not functioning as a natural government. It's not functioning as a country. It's now functioning totally as a corporation. And that corporation is based on hostile takeover. So any corporation built on hostile takeover has to do everything through what they call arbitration. That arbitration now is going to be mitigated through different organizations like ALEC. What is ALEC? ALEC is a illegal organization, in my opinion, but it's a consortium of legislators, lobbyists who meet in private rooms, private hotel sessions, make policy, make legislation, right? And then go back to their own constituency and pass it like it was done in the city hall or in the government, right? So when you actually look up the membership for ALEC, it's all white males. It's nothing but white males. What we have to understand about the white male is that the white male has even made it hard for males. You understand? For like men. Men, one thing you gotta understand is Men have no rights anywhere. Think about it. If a man is abused by a woman, where can he go for help? Nowhere. If a father is homeless, where can the father go? Nowhere. If the father needs medical attention, if the father is, God forbid, physically abused by the woman, what can he do? Nothing. I know a brother who was actually physically abused by his female, right? And called the police on her. Not only did the police laugh and all that in his face, right? What they did was they said, well, the only thing we can offer you is a jail cell. That's the only place we can protect you. If you agree to let us arrest you, you can spend the night in the jail. You understand? So in that now, white males have ostracized males, the male species, to the point where men can't express themselves as men anymore. Men can't stand up and say, I'm not with that. Men can't stand up and say, you know what? I'm not with all of this fake fugazi stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. You don't have that anymore. The only men in the so-called black community you see standing up are men who happen to have Caucasian women for mothers. Think I'm lying? Jesse Williams, Colin Kaepernick, the other Nick, Drake. You know what I'm saying? These type of niggas. These are the ones that now have the right to stand up as men to say that. Because they've created a system by which the dark melanated man has been so domesticated and so engendered in trying to assimilate into this thing that he don't have no balls. He might as well be a eunuch. You understand? When the last time you seen a dark-skinned man stand up for something that was publicly known in TV and was not having the kowtow aspect of that? You haven't. You haven't. And you probably won't, because most of these niggas now is not only on the take, they are now invested in the Caucasian society to the point that they do not see themselves outside of somebody's perception of them. So if that's not who you are as a man or as a woman or as a child, if you are tired of seeing things where, if you are in a situation where the more you are doing the knowledge and what you're supposed to do, the more people around you are doing the opposite, then what that says is that you need to focus more on what your intent is. You cannot go out here and help everybody, get everybody together when your shit is raggedy. There's no way that you're going to be able to establish a empire, kingdom, and dominion if you're still debating or not whether or not I should use this paperwork from this website, or whether or not the sovereignty movement is this, or whether or not the Moors say this or that. It's all conjecture at this point. The only thing that you can really put it like this: the only way that you can bring yourself to a medium of balance is to understand how imbalanced you are. The only way that you can accept the fact that there is nobody to trust around you, when you have to realize what inside yourself is untrustworthy. You know what I'm saying? Like everything external has become internal. So now you're not only battling the world around you, you're battling the world within you. You're battling the aspect of yourself that has been disconnected from anything of substance, whether it be your father, whether it be your mother, your family, your community, your nationality. You see what I'm saying? Everything is relative to something else. So on this wheel of karma and dharma, we're now at a stage where we have kind of balanced it out. So now what's going to happen to move us further is going to have to be those of us who are in a situation where by which we stick to our guns, meaning we stick to what it is that we know is right and exact. Wisdom does not come before knowledge. One must have knowledge to be wise, to gain understanding, to build one's culture freedom, to be able to bring about truth, to get to a level of equality that God then can bring forth to build up something that needs to be destroyed in order to be born, to bring back the cipher to a whole. That's not going to happen when people are trying to basically get out of parking tickets, or people are trying to discharge this debt, or people know that we can't use, if you're doing this process properly, you're not supposed to pull down cash, but you're going to pull down cash because it's easier than going in and figuring out how to do that promissory note. It's easier than figuring out how to negotiate that bill of exchange. This is the difference between those of us that's really Moors within the empire and Moors that are just really on some domestic, we just out here trying to just fulfill what the prophet left and all of that. The prophet left more than what we would ever imagine. But guess what? If the prophet was walking right down the street with you right now, you would not recognize him, because you would have to go to the Grand Sheik and say, Grand Sheik, is this the prophet? Because he's saying that he is. And then I saw this DVD about this one, and you see what I'm saying? It's over.